Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract success, love, and abundance, while others remain trapped in cycles of struggle despite their best efforts? What if I told you the difference isn't luck, circumstances, or even hard work, but rather the silent, invisible state of consciousness you maintain moment by moment? Tonight, we're exploring one of the most profound spiritual laws that Joseph Murphy revealed in his transformative work. The principle that everything, absolutely everything, begins within you. Has this ever happened to you? You find yourself repeatedly experiencing the same frustrating situations in relationships, finances, or health, despite your conscious efforts to change them? This pattern isn't random. It's a perfect reflection of what you've accepted as true within the depths of your being. The world around you isn't a broken mirror distorting your reality. It's a flawless reflection mechanism, returning to you with surgical precision exactly what you hold in consciousness. Your external world isn't happening to you by chance, it's emerging from you by law. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you approach every aspect of your life. Murphy taught that the universe doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It merely obeys the state you assume. This means that worry, anxiety, and doubt are actually forms of negative creation, just as powerful as faith, confidence, and certainty. The most revolutionary insight is this: the first step to manifesting miracles isn't to do something, but to be something. Most of us have been taught that achievement comes through action, effort, and striving. But what if the most powerful creative force isn't what you do, but the state of consciousness from which you operate? Consider this. When you say, "I am," you're uttering the most powerful affirmation in existence. The entire universe responds to these words like a servant to the voice of its master. I am weak, and life shows you proofs of weakness. I am fortunate, and everything begins to conspire in your favor. What if you could harness this creative power intentionally? What if the miracle you've been seeking isn't waiting for you in some distant future, but is available the moment you shift your inner state? The ancient mystics knew this secret. The great spiritual teachers throughout history have pointed to it. And tonight, we're going to explore exactly how this principle operates in your daily life and the practical steps to align your consciousness with what you truly desire. If these principles of consciousness creation have resonated with you, hit that subscribe button to join our community of conscious creators. I share powerful insights like these to help you manifest the life you truly desire. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic and reveal a profound, hidden truth that few spiritual teachers have explained with such clarity. We've been conditioned to believe a fundamental lie about our existence, that we are separate fragments trying desperately to find our way back to wholeness. This core belief is the source of most human suffering. But Joseph Murphy's revolutionary insight turns this idea completely upside down. You are not a lost fragment trying to find the whole. You are the whole experiencing itself as a fragment. This isn't just poetic language. It's a radical shift in mindset that completely transforms your journey. When you truly understand this at the deepest level, something miraculous happens. Struggle ceases and surrender begins. This surrender isn't about giving up. It's about releasing the exhausting illusion of separation that keeps you fighting against life rather than flowing with it. It's about recognizing that the divine completeness you've been seeking has always existed within you. This revelation doesn't just change your spiritual outlook, it fundamentally alters your day-to-day experience. Think about how this impacts your decisions. When you operate from a mindset of separation, you're constantly trying to acquire, achieve, and accumulate to fill a perceived void. But when you recognize your inherent wholeness, your actions come from a place of expression rather than acquisition. This isn't just philosophy, it's practical transformation at the deepest level. Another powerful principle that dovetails with this understanding is that everything you imagine with faith already exists in the invisible realm. This might sound mystical, but quantum physics increasingly supports the idea that consciousness precedes physical reality. The manifestation process isn't about creating something from nothing. It's about allowing what already exists in potential form to materialize in your experience. This is where most seekers get lost. They exhaust themselves trying to force outcomes, control circumstances, and figure out exactly how their desires will manifest. But Murphy teaches that the universe doesn't require your explanations or your strategic plans. It simply responds to the feeling you hold with conviction. Consider how liberating this truly is. You don't need to micromanage the universe or struggle to make things happen through sheer willpower. The invisible intelligence that orchestrates galaxies and atoms doesn't need your instruction manual. It simply requires your emotional alignment with what you desire. This brings us to the essence of faith, not as a religious concept, but as a practical tool for consciousness creation. Faith isn't about hoping or wishing. It's about achieving such clarity of vision and emotional alignment that you can feel the reality of what you desire before it materializes physically. It's maintaining that feeling regardless of what your physical senses report. The journey to mastering this principle involves developing a new relationship with the invisible world of causes. Most people live exclusively in the world of effects, reacting to what already is. But the true creator lives primarily in the world of causes, the realm of imagination, feeling, and faith. When you consciously step into this causal dimension through meditation, visualization, and emotional mastery, you're no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You become the author of your experience rather than its bewildered protagonist. What revelations have you experienced when you've glimpsed your connection to the whole? Write "I am the whole" in the comments if you've ever experienced even a moment of this profound unity consciousness. Let's explore the most empowering revelation on this journey of consciousness. You are the creator of your reality. Not in some vague, metaphorical sense, but in a direct, tangible way that influences every aspect of your experience. Joseph Murphy described this creative capacity with remarkable clarity. You are simultaneously the creator of the visible and the master of the invisible. This insight completely reshapes our understanding of personal power and responsibility. Think about the revolutionary implications of this blueprint for a moment. Every single image you embrace in the silence of your mind is not merely a fleeting thought. It's a living seed planted in the fertile soil of universal intelligence. And every emotion you choose to feel is not just a personal experience. It's a direct command issued to the creative forces of existence. Most people vastly underestimate the creative power of their mental imagery. They assume that what they visualize is private, contained, and inconsequential. But the masters of manifestation throughout history have discovered that mental imagery is the primary tool of creation. When coupled with emotional intensity, it becomes virtually unstoppable. This understanding transforms your relationship with your own imagination. Your daydreams, visualizations, and mental rehearsals aren't just psychological exercises. They're the invisible architecture that precedes physical manifestation. This revelation shifts imagination from entertainment to intentional creation. But here's where many seekers encounter a profound challenge on their path. We've been conditioned to believe that the world exists independently of our perception, that there's an objective reality out there that we're merely observing. Murphy shatters this illusion with his most radical insight. Nothing exists outside your consciousness. The world you see, the people you meet, and the circumstances that surround you are not independent forces acting upon you. They are projections of what silently vibrates within your own consciousness. When you encounter disorder, lack, or limitation in your external experience, you're not facing an opposing force. You're simply witnessing a mirror reflection of your own inner state. This principle operates with mathematical precision. Just as a mirror doesn't create an image but reflects one, your external world doesn't create your experience. It reflects the image you hold within. The implications of this truth are both liberating and sobering. It means that trying to change circumstances without first changing consciousness is like trying to change your reflection without changing your face. The transformation begins when you shift from being a passive observer of life to becoming an active creator. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What state of consciousness am I sustaining that's creating this experience?" This fundamental shift in perspective is what distinguishes victims from creators. Consider how this understanding illuminates your journey through life's challenges. When facing difficulties, most people fight against what they perceive as external forces working against them. But the awakened individual recognizes that these apparent obstacles are actually feedback mechanisms, precise reflections of beliefs, expectations, and emotional patterns they've been unconsciously sustaining. This doesn't mean you should blame yourself for unwanted circumstances. Blame is counterproductive and misses the point entirely. The purpose of this awareness isn't self-judgment, but self-empowerment. Recognizing that if you can create unwanted experiences through unconscious patterns, you can also create desired experiences through conscious choice. The practice of conscious creation involves developing a heightened awareness of your mental and emotional states. It means becoming intimately familiar with the thoughts you habitually entertain and the feelings you regularly indulge. Every thought is a blueprint. Every emotion is energy that animates that blueprint, and together they form the template from which your physical experience is molded. When you truly grasp this principle, you stop trying to manipulate the world out there and instead focus on transforming the world in here. You recognize that the most direct path to changing your circumstances is changing your consciousness. Have you experienced moments when shifting your perception completely transformed a difficult situation? Type, "I am the creator," in the comments if you've witnessed this powerful principle in action. Now I want to shift our perspective to perhaps the most transformational insight in Joseph Murphy's teachings, one that completely inverts how most people experience reality. There's a fundamental misconception that has shaped human experience for centuries: the belief that life happens to you. This passive orientation places you as the victim of circumstances, a helpless observer watching events unfold beyond your control. But the profound revelation that Murphy illuminates is that life doesn't happen to you, it emerges from you. This distinction isn't merely semantic, it represents a complete paradigm shift in how you interact with reality. When you live from the understanding that life emerges from within your consciousness, you stop battling against external circumstances and start addressing the inner source that generates them. Think about how dramatically this reframes your journey. Most people spend their entire lives fighting shadows, trying desperately to change reflections while ignoring the projector that casts them. They struggle against financial limitations without examining their consciousness of lack. They fight against difficult relationships without recognizing the inner patterns that attract and sustain them. They resist health challenges without addressing the mental and emotional states that preceded them. This misplaced focus leads to the exhausting cycle that defines most human experience, constantly trying to fix effects while ignoring causes. It's like attempting to change your reflection in a mirror by adjusting the mirror rather than changing your posture or expression. The awakening begins when you turn your attention inward and recognize that the source of your experience lies within your own consciousness. This insight doesn't diminish your challenges or suggest they aren't real. Rather, it places the power to transform them squarely in your hands. When you shift from battling external conditions to adjusting internal states, you activate your creative capacity rather than your reactive tendency. And this brings us to another revolutionary principle that deepens our understanding. There are no coincidences in a consciousness-created universe. Everything that appears in your experience has been drawn to you through the invisible law of consciousness. What you call chance, luck, or coincidence is merely the part of the universal law that you don't yet fully comprehend. This revelation can be both sobering and liberating. It means that every encounter, every seemingly random event, every door that unexpectedly opens or closes in your life is the perfect response to the state of consciousness you have chosen to sustain. The universe operates with mathematical precision, delivering experiences that match your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and expectations with unwavering accuracy. Behind the scenes of your life, this hidden truth has been operating all along. The people who appear in your experience, the opportunities that present themselves, the challenges that arise. None of these are random occurrences. They are perfect reflections of your inner world, manifesting with such precision that when you truly understand this principle, you stand in awe of the intelligence that orchestrates it. Ready to dive deeper into the power of your consciousness? Subscribe now to access more teachings that will transform how you create your reality. Your journey of discovery is just beginning. This doesn't mean you consciously chose difficult or painful experiences. Rather, it suggests that unconscious patterns, limiting beliefs, and unexamined thoughts create resonance with corresponding circumstances. The good news is that once you recognize this principle, you can begin consciously directing this creative process instead of unconsciously triggering unwanted reflections. The journey of transformation begins when you take full responsibility for your creative capacity, not with guilt or self-blame, but with the empowered recognition that if your consciousness can unconsciously create unwanted experiences, it can also consciously create desired ones. This understanding reveals why affirmations and positive thinking often fall short. Merely changing your words while maintaining the same inner conviction is like painting a broken machine without fixing its internal mechanism. True change requires a fundamental shift in your feeling state, your deep conviction about what's possible, and your emotional relationship with reality. The masters of manifestation throughout history haven't just understood these principles intellectually, they've embodied them emotionally. They've cultivated such alignment between their inner state and desired outcome that manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Have you noticed seemingly coincidental events in your life that perfectly matched your thoughts or feelings at the time? Type "I see the pattern" in the comments if you've recognized this correlation between your inner state and outer circumstances. Let's dive even deeper into the mechanics of manifestation. There's a crucial distinction that Joseph Murphy emphasized, which explains why so many people struggle despite their best intentions. The universe doesn't respond to your words or even your conscious thoughts. It responds to your state of being. This fundamental principle reveals why traditional approaches to manifestation often yield disappointing results. Think about how many people diligently repeat affirmations, visualize desired outcomes, or practice various manifestation techniques without experiencing meaningful transformation. The missing piece isn't effort or technique, it's alignment. You can repeat 1,000 affirmations about prosperity, but if doubt vibrates within, doubt is precisely what will manifest in your experience. This explains the frustrating gap between what many people say they want and what actually shows up in their lives. The universe operates as a flawless resonance mechanism. It doesn't judge your requests or decide whether you deserve something. It simply measures your energetic signature, the combination of beliefs, expectations, and emotions that constitute your state of being, and returns experiences that match that frequency. If certainty vibrates within you, even without words, the universe bends to serve that certainty. This insight completely revolutionizes our approach to manifestation. Instead of focusing primarily on techniques, we redirect our attention to cultivating states of being that naturally align with our desires. The journey shifts from doing manifestation to becoming the embodiment of what we wish to experience. This is the hidden truth behind why some people seem to effortlessly attract their desires, while others struggle despite working harder. Your state of being isn't something you do, it's something you are. It's the sum total of your beliefs, assumptions, expectations, and emotional patterns. Most of these operate beneath conscious awareness, which is why surface-level affirmations often can't override them. True transformation occurs when you address these deeper patterns through consistent inner work, allowing your natural state to align with your conscious desires. This understanding seamlessly connects with another profound revelation. You are the screenwriter of your own life story. The world has no initiative of its own. It is merely a stage where your consciousness performs. You are simultaneously the screenwriter, director, and main actor in this cosmic drama. Every scene, every character, every plot twist is decided by you, even when this creative process occurs unconsciously. Most people live as if they are merely actors in someone else's production, responding to scripts they didn't write and circumstances they didn't create. They feel powerless because they've forgotten their role as the author of their experience. The awakening begins when you reclaim your creative authority and recognize that you're not just reacting to life, you're creating it from the inside out. Think about the profound impact this perspective has on your day-to-day experience. When you view yourself as the screenwriter of your life, challenges become plot devices rather than obstacles. Difficult people become characters serving your growth rather than antagonists opposing your happiness. Setbacks become opportunities for character development rather than evidence of your limitations. This doesn't mean denying the reality of challenges or pretending that everything is perfect. Rather, it means approaching life's difficulties with the mindset of a creator rather than a victim. It means asking, what am I trying to teach myself through this experience? Rather than, why is this happening to me? This subtle shift transforms your entire relationship with reality. The master screenwriter doesn't fight against the scenes already written. They simply write new ones. They don't get stuck in endless analysis of why something happened. They focus their creative energy on what they wish to experience next. They recognize that the power isn't in controlling external circumstances, but in directing internal states. This creative capacity isn't reserved for special individuals or spiritual masters. It's your birthright as a conscious being. The difference between those who consciously create their experience and those who unconsciously react to it isn't ability, it's awareness. The moment you truly recognize yourself as the author of your experience, you begin rewriting the story from a place of empowerment rather than limitation. The beautiful revelation in all of this is that you don't need to wait for external permission or validation to change your inner script. You can begin right now in this moment by consciously choosing the states of being that align with what you wish to create. Have you ever noticed how dramatically your experience changes when you shift your inner narrative about a situation? Comment below with, I'm the author, if you've recognized your power to rewrite your life story through conscious choice. Now I want to explore the linguistic blueprint of creation that lies at the heart of Joseph Murphy's teaching. There are two words that, when combined, form what might be the most powerful creative formula in existence: I am. When you utter these two simple words, you're not just making a statement, you're issuing a divine command that the entire universe responds to like a servant to the voice of its master. Most people casually throw these words around without realizing their creative potency. I am tired. I am broke. I am confused. I am unlucky. With each declaration, they're literally instructing the universal mind to manifest these conditions in their experience. The creative power doesn't discriminate between what you want and what you don't want. It simply delivers whatever follows I am with unfailing precision. This insight transforms your relationship with language itself. Your words aren't just descriptive, they're prescriptive. They don't just describe your reality, they actually prescribe it. When you declare, I am wealthy, the universe begins, orchestrating circumstances that align with that declaration. When you state, I am healthy, healing energies start flowing through your body in response to that command. The revelation here isn't just about positive thinking. It's about recognizing the creative mechanism built into your very identity. The words I am connect directly to your essential nature as a creative being. They form a bridge between your individual consciousness and the infinite creative intelligence that permeates all existence. When you understand this principle, you begin choosing your I am statements with the careful deliberation of someone who knows they're programming their future experience. But here's where many seekers encounter their greatest stumbling block on the path to conscious creation. We've been conditioned to operate in a fundamentally backward way, waiting to see results before we believe, wanting evidence before we commit to faith. This inverted approach keeps countless people trapped in cycles of limitation, despite their sincere desire for transformation. The universal law operates in reverse of how most people approach manifestation. The conventional mindset says, when I see the money in my account, then I'll feel abundant. When my body heals, then I'll feel healthy. When I find the perfect relationship, then I'll feel loved. But Murphy reveals the profound truth that this approach completely contradicts the creative process. The breakthrough comes when you realize that the sequence is believe first, feel first, and only then will the world rearrange itself as confirmation of your inner state. This isn't wishful thinking. It's the fundamental operating principle of consciousness creation. The inner always precedes the outer. The invisible always comes before the visible. The seed always precedes the flower. Consider the impact this revelation has on your manifestation journey. Instead of waiting for external conditions to change before you can feel different, you recognize that feeling different is what changes external conditions. Instead of needing proof before you can believe, you understand that belief is what generates the proof. This complete reversal of the conventional approach is what distinguishes those who consciously create their reality from those who remain at the mercy of circumstances. This principle operates with such mathematical precision that once you truly grasp it, manifestation ceases to be mysterious and becomes a natural expression of universal law. Just as a seed doesn't need to struggle to become a tree, it simply needs the right conditions to express its innate nature. Your desires don't need to be forced into manifestation. They simply need the fertile soil of belief and the nourishing water of feeling to naturally express in your experience. The practical application involves a profound inner shift, learning to sustain the feeling of your desire fulfilled before there's any external evidence to support it. This isn't pretending or self-deception. It's aligning with a deeper reality that exists beyond physical appearance. It's recognizing that the inner world of causes always precedes the outer world of effects. Murphy demonstrated this principle through countless case studies of individuals who transformed their lives not by changing external circumstances first, but by changing their inner conviction about what was possible. They cultivated such unwavering faith in their desired outcome that the universe had no choice but to reflect that faith in their physical experience. Has there been a time in your life when you believed in something so completely that it seemed to materialize almost effortlessly? Share your experience with faith first in the comments if you've witnessed this principle in action. Let me reveal a profound secret that completely transforms how you approach challenges in your life. Most people exhaust themselves trying to change circumstances directly. They push against financial difficulties, struggle with relationship problems, or battle health issues as if these were independent forces to be conquered. But Joseph Murphy uncovered a far more elegant approach. If you want to change the mirror of your life, you don't need force, only vision. This principle operates with such beautiful simplicity that many people miss its power. Think about it. When you look in a mirror and don't like what you see, you don't try to adjust the reflection directly. That would be absurd. You change your appearance, and the reflection naturally follows. Yet in life, we constantly try to manipulate reflections instead of changing what's being reflected. The breakthrough in consciousness happens when you realize that the transformation you seek doesn't require struggle or force. It requires a shift in vision. Close your eyes and imagine differently. See the scene you wish to experience with such clarity and conviction that it begins to feel more real than your current circumstances. This isn't mere fantasy, it's using the creative faculty of imagination as it was designed to be used. The key is sustaining this new image with emotion. Dry intellectual visualization has limited power. But when you infuse your mental imagery with genuine feeling, with love, with faith, with emotional intensity, you activate the creative mechanism that transforms inner visions into outer experiences. Emotion is the energy that brings your mental images to life. This explains why two people can practice the same visualization technique with dramatically different results. One approaches it mechanically as a mental exercise. The other embraces it emotionally as a living reality. The difference in results isn't about technique, it's about the emotional charge that accompanies the vision. Behind the scenes of creation, this emotional component serves as the bridge between thought and manifestation. It's the catalyst that converts mental energy into physical form. When your mental image is charged with feeling, it becomes imprinted in your subconscious mind, which then works tirelessly to align your external experience with that inner blueprint. Now let's explore another dimension of this teaching that radically transforms how you view relationships and interactions. Murphy revealed a truth that few spiritual teachers have articulated with such clarity. Others are part of your consciousness. The people who appear in your life aren't separate entities colliding with you by chance. They're reflections of aspects of your own consciousness, manifesting to show you what you still believe. This doesn't mean other people aren't real or don't have their own consciousness and free will. Rather, it means that those who enter your experience are drawn to you through resonance with your state of being. They're perfect mirrors, reflecting beliefs, expectations and patterns that exist within you, often below the threshold of conscious awareness. When you encounter someone who triggers anger, they're reflecting your own suppressed anger. When you meet someone who displays extraordinary kindness, they're reflecting your own capacity for compassion. When you experience betrayal, it's showing you where you've betrayed yourself or where you hold beliefs about being unworthy of loyalty. This revelation completely transforms how you approach difficult relationships and interactions. Instead of asking, "Why is this person treating me this way?" you begin asking, "What is this relationship revealing about my inner world?" This shift in perspective doesn't eliminate challenges, but it converts them from obstacles into revelations, each one offering precious insight into your own consciousness. The most liberating aspect of this teaching is the recognition that nothing is against you, everything is with you. What appears as opposition is actually cooperation, the universe orchestrating the perfect scenarios to reveal where healing and growth are needed. Even your most difficult relationships are serving your evolution, showing you precisely what needs to be addressed within your own consciousness. This understanding doesn't mean you should remain in harmful situations or relationships. Rather, it empowers you to address the root cause, rather than just changing external circumstances. When you transform your inner landscape, your outer relationships naturally transform as well, either through healing or through natural dissolution, as you no longer resonate with that particular reflection. Have you noticed patterns in your relationships that keep repeating despite changing partners or situations? Type mirror work in the comments if you've recognized how others reflect aspects of your own consciousness. Now, I want to illuminate what might be the most exciting revelation in Joseph Murphy's teachings: the immediate and responsive relationship between your consciousness and your reality. When you change the vibration of your consciousness, life responds with remarkable swiftness, like an echo answering a new voice. This principle reveals the extraordinary fluidity of what appears to be solid reality. Many people struggle with the gap between inner transformation and outer manifestation. They make significant shifts in their thinking or emotional patterns, but become discouraged when they don't see immediate changes in their circumstances. What they fail to recognize is that manifestation doesn't always happen instantaneously, yet it always happens inevitably. The universe responds to your vibration with mathematical precision, but it does so according to its own divine timing. Think about the profound implications of this principle. Your consciousness isn't just influencing your future, it's actively creating it moment by moment. Every shift in your inner state sends ripples through the field of infinite possibilities, reorganizing the very fabric of your experience. Sometimes these changes manifest quickly, while other times they require a period of gestation. But they always, without exception, manifest in perfect accordance with your dominant vibration. One of the most powerful practices Murphy recommended is a simple acknowledgement before sleeping. Everything I see is myself projected. This brief statement, when felt deeply, completely transforms your relationship with reality. It reminds you that the world you'll wake up to tomorrow is not an independent force acting upon you. It's the perfect projection of your own consciousness. This recognition places creative responsibility firmly in your hands. Sleep itself becomes a sacred time for transformation. As your conscious mind rests, your subconscious becomes extraordinarily receptive to new impressions. The thoughts, images, and feelings you carry into sleep become seeds planted in fertile soil, germinating throughout the night and eventually blossoming in your waking experience. This is why masters of manifestation throughout history have placed such emphasis on the moments before sleep. They represent a direct pathway to the creative subconscious. The decision to change your consciousness isn't merely a psychological adjustment. It's a creative command issued to the universe itself. When you genuinely shift from fear to faith, from lack to abundance, from limitation to possibility, you're not just changing your perception of reality, you're changing the very blueprint from which your reality is constructed. This brings us to perhaps the most liberating revelation on this journey of consciousness. You are never small, you just forgot who you are. The human condition often involves a profound amnesia about our true nature. We come to believe we are limited, separate beings struggling against a hostile world. But this perception is the greatest illusion, a temporary forgetting of our essential creative power. The journey of spiritual awakening isn't about becoming something. You're not. It's about remembering who you've always been. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, limiting beliefs, and false identifications to reconnect with the infinite creative intelligence that is your true essence. This remembrance of your authentic nature is the first miracle, the one that makes all other miracles possible. Think about the profound transformation that occurs when you step out of the illusion of smallness and reclaim your creative heritage. When you return to the center of your being, recognizing yourself as an expression of the infinite rather than a separate fragment, the universe itself returns to its axis. What once seemed impossible becomes available. What once appeared miraculous becomes routine. This remembrance doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds gradually through moments of insight, experiences of synchronicity, and glimpses of your own creative power in action. Each time you witness the direct connection between your consciousness and your experience, you recover another piece of your forgotten wholeness. Each manifestation becomes both evidence of your power and an invitation to remember even more deeply. The journey of consciousness isn't about acquiring something new. It's about unveiling what's always been there. It's about removing the veils that obscured your vision and reconnecting with the unlimited creative potential that is your birthright. Have you experienced moments when you suddenly remembered your own power and witnessed reality shifting in response? Share your awakening moment by writing "I remember" in the comments if you've had this profound experience of reconnecting with your true nature. Let me share a subtle yet profound shift in approach that completely transforms your manifestation practice. Joseph Murphy observed a common mistake that keeps countless seekers trapped in cycles of lack despite their sincere intentions and spiritual devotion. The universe doesn't respond to pleas, but to states. This revelation challenges our fundamental understanding of how creation operates. Think about the traditional approach to manifestation: asking, praying, beseeching, hoping. The hidden flaw in this approach is that when you ask for something, you're unconsciously confessing lack. You're declaring to the universe, "I don't have this yet." And the universe, being the perfect mirror of consciousness, simply confirms that statement by continuing to show you evidence of not having. This explains the paradoxical experience many people have. The more desperately they ask for something, the further it seems to recede from their grasp. The breakthrough comes when you shift from asking to assuming. When you assume a state of already having what you desire, you express power rather than weakness. You declare to the universe, "I am already what I wish to be," and the creative forces respond accordingly. This isn't about verbal declarations, but about the inner conviction you maintain. The universe reads vibration, not words. It measures your feeling state, not your conscious requests. This principle operates with mathematical precision across every dimension of life. Consider someone seeking financial prosperity. When they constantly ask for money, they're vibrating in the frequency of lack, which can only attract more lack. But when they assume the consciousness of abundance, feeling grateful, generous, and provided for regardless of current circumstances, they activate a completely different creative mechanism. They're no longer seeking from outside, they're expressing from within. This dynamic applies equally to health, relationships, career opportunities, every aspect of human experience. The state you assume becomes the blueprint from which your physical reality is constructed. This isn't magical thinking, it's the fundamental operating principle of consciousness creation. Now, this teaching is often misunderstood in a crucial way. To assume is not to pretend. This distinction is vital for effective manifestation. Pretending is effort, it's theater. It's consciously acting as if something were true while simultaneously being aware that it isn't. This divided consciousness creates inner conflict that blocks manifestation. Assuming, by contrast, is repose. It's a settled knowing that requires no effort because it's aligned with your deepest convictions. The beggar worries, the creator rests. This statement captures the essential difference between conventional manifestation approaches and the deeper wisdom Murphy revealed. The beggar is constantly concerned about outcomes, anxiously looking for signs, desperately seeking confirmation. The creator, having assumed the end result, rests in certainty. They've issued the creative command through their state of being and now allow the universe to arrange the details without interference. This is the fundamental distinction between one who waits for the miracle and one who becomes the miracle. Waiting places you in a perpetual state of separation from your desire. Becoming places you in immediate communion with it. The miracle isn't something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you as you align with the creative power of your own consciousness. Behind the scenes of manifestation, this principle operates through your subconscious mind, which accepts as instruction whatever state you consistently maintain. When you assume a state with emotional conviction, your subconscious mind begins working tirelessly to align your experience with that inner blueprint. It influences your perceptions, directs your decisions, attracts corresponding circumstances, and orchestrates what appear to be coincidences, all serving to manifest the state you've assumed. The revolutionary insight here is that manifestation isn't about making things happen through effort or will. It's about assuming the state that allows things to happen naturally, just as a seed doesn't struggle to become a tree. It simply expresses its innate nature in the right conditions. Your desires don't need to be forced into manifestation. They simply need to be assumed as present realities in consciousness. Has there been a time in your life when something manifested effortlessly because you simply assumed it would, without anxiety or desperate pleading? Share your experience by typing effortless creation in the comments if you've witnessed this principle in action. Now I want to explore what might be the most transformative practice in Joseph Murphy's entire body of work, a shift that completely revolutionizes the manifestation process. Most approaches focus on external techniques, rituals, or affirmations. But Murphy discovered that the true catalyst for creation lies in your emotional state. If you desire abundance, feel the fullness before the money arrives. If you desire love, feel loved before someone proves it. If you desire healing, feel whole before the body obeys. This emotional anticipation is the hidden catalyst of manifestation. It's not enough to visualize your desire or affirm it verbally. The breakthrough comes when you can genuinely feel the emotional reality of already having what you seek. This isn't wishful thinking or psychological manipulation. It's aligning with a deeper truth that exists beyond physical appearance. Think about how radically this inverts conventional wisdom. We've been conditioned to believe that our feelings should respond to circumstances, that we should feel abundant when we have money, feel loved when someone shows us affection, feel healthy when symptoms disappear. But this approach keeps us perpetually reactive, always waiting for external conditions to change before we can experience the emotional states we desire. The awakened creator reverses this sequence. They recognize that feeling states aren't just responses to reality. They're the very blueprints from which reality is constructed. When you can genuinely feel abundant while your bank account shows lack, you've activated the creative mechanism that transforms your financial situation. When you can authentically feel loved despite apparent loneliness, you've set in motion the forces that attract loving relationships. The body, money, and relationships are merely instruments in this creative process. They're the physical channels through which your consciousness expresses itself. The conductor of this symphony is your inner state. When your feeling aligns with your desire, creation becomes effortless, not because you're forcing reality to bend to your will, but because you're allowing your external world to naturally reflect your internal reality. This revelation transforms your relationship with the manifestation journey itself. Rather than constantly looking for external signs of progress, you focus on maintaining the feeling of completion. Instead of asking, "When will it happen?" you rest in the certainty of "it is already done." This shift in focus accelerates the manifestation process because it removes the resistance that comes from constantly checking for results. And this brings us to another profound insight that Murphy articulated with remarkable clarity. The true creative act is silent. In a world obsessed with external demonstrations, social validation, and constant communication, the most powerful creative force operates in complete silence. There are no words, only a deep sense of completeness. The awakened creator doesn't need to announce, explain, or convince others of what they're manifesting. They simply assume the state and rest in certainty. Think of this as the spiritual equivalent of planting a seed. The gardener doesn't dig up the seed every day to check its progress. They don't stand over it shouting commands or pleading for growth. They simply plant it in fertile soil, provide the right conditions, and trust the invisible process that transforms seed into flower. This patient certainty is the hallmark of mature creation. He who assumes doesn't seek signs. He knows the signs will come as echoes of the accepted state. This liberation from constantly seeking confirmation represents a quantum leap in consciousness. The immature creator constantly looks for evidence, needing proof before they can believe. The mature creator maintains their state regardless of appearances, knowing that physical manifestation is the inevitable result of sustained consciousness. Behind the scenes of creation, this silent certainty creates a clear channel between your consciousness and the universal creative force. Doubt, anxiety, and constant checking introduce static into this channel, distorting the manifestation process. But when you maintain silent conviction, feeling the reality of your desire without needing to verbalize or validate it, you establish a direct connection that accelerates manifestation. The revelations in your life often unfold most powerfully when you stop talking about them, stop asking about them, and simply allow them to materialize through your unwavering inner certainty. There's a sacred alchemy in this silence, a transformative power that converts invisible conviction into visible experience. Have you experienced the power of silent certainty in your own life? Share your journey by typing "silent power" in the comments. If you've witnessed manifestation accelerating when you stopped seeking external confirmation and simply rested in knowing. Now I want to explore what might be the most counterintuitive yet powerful principle in Murphy's entire teaching, one that completely inverts our conventional approach to gratitude. Most people express gratitude after receiving something, as a response to blessings already manifest. But Murphy revealed a profound truth by examining the example of Jesus and other master manifestors throughout history. Gratitude before the proof is the catalyst that accelerates manifestation. Consider the biblical story that Murphy often referenced. Jesus standing before a small portion of food, needing to feed thousands. He didn't panic, plead, or ask for more. Instead, he gave thanks before seeing the multiplication. This wasn't mere religious ritual, it was the application of a universal law. Thanksgiving before manifestation is the highest expression of faith. It's declaring to the universe, "I trust so completely that I can feel gratitude now for what is still invisible to physical eyes." This practice creates a profound psychological and spiritual alignment. When you give thanks for something before it appears, you're vibrating in the frequency of already having. You're not asking from emptiness, you're expressing from fullness. This subtle shift completely transforms the energy you broadcast to the universe. Gratitude before manifestation isn't pretending. It's recognizing a deeper reality that exists beyond physical appearance. Think about the revolutionary impact this approach has on your manifestation journey. Instead of the exhausting cycle of asking, waiting, checking, and being disappointed, you simply give thanks as if you've already received. This isn't blind optimism. It's aligning with the creative principle that operates throughout the universe. The seed doesn't worry about becoming a tree, it simply expresses its nature in the right conditions. Your gratitude is the fertile soil in which manifestation naturally occurs. Murphy observed that those who master this principle experience what appears to be miraculous results, not because they're breaking universal laws, but because they're perfectly aligning with them. Rest before manifestation becomes possible when you understand that physical reality is merely the delayed reflection of consciousness. When you can genuinely feel thankful before seeing evidence, you've entered the realm of mature creation. This brings us to another profound revelation that completely transforms how we understand faith. Hope looks to the future, faith dwells in the now. This distinction isn't merely semantic, it represents a quantum leap in consciousness that separates those who occasionally manifest their desires from those who consistently create their reality. Hope says, "One day it will be." Faith declares, "It already is." The difference between these two statements is the difference between perpetual seeking and immediate finding. Hope keeps you forever searching, waiting, anticipating, always placing fulfillment in some distant future that never quite arrives. Faith anchors you in the eternal now, the only point where creative power truly resides. There is no power in one day. There is power only in now. This insight illuminates why so many manifestation practices fall short despite sincere intention. When your consciousness is perpetually oriented toward future fulfillment, you're unwittingly pushing your desire away from you in time. You're declaring to the universe, not now but later, and the universe faithfully echoes this decree, keeping your desire perpetually in the future. The breakthrough comes when you collapse time in consciousness, when you bring the future into the present through the power of faith. This doesn't mean denying current circumstances or pretending limitations don't exist. It means recognizing that on the level of consciousness, your desire already exists in completed form. Your task isn't to create it from nothing, but to align with its pre-existing reality. This perspective transforms your relationship with the manifestation process itself. Instead of the anxious journey of constantly checking for results and measuring progress, you rest in the certainty of present fulfillment. This isn't passive resignation, it's active alignment with the creative principle that governs the universe. The journey from hope to faith represents one of the most profound transformations in spiritual development. It's moving from wishing to knowing, from seeking to finding, from anticipating to experiencing. It's recognizing that the kingdom of manifestation is not coming. It is already here, within your consciousness, waiting only for your recognition. Have you experienced moments when you shifted from hoping for something in the future to feeling absolute certainty in the present moment? Share your experience by typing "present power" in the comments if you've witnessed how faith in the now accelerates manifestation. Now I want to illuminate what might be the most empowering revelation in Murphy's work, the irresistible power of genuine certainty. The world around you, despite its apparent solidity, cannot resist the unwavering conviction of an awakened consciousness. This isn't wishful thinking or psychological manipulation. It's the fundamental operating principle of reality itself. When you truly awaken to your creative power, you no longer seek external proofs. You become the proof. This shift represents a complete transformation in how you move through the world. Instead of tentatively waiting for confirmation before believing, you emanate the quiet confidence of one who already knows. This certainty isn't loud or forceful. It's the serene knowing that requires no validation because it's anchored in something deeper than physical evidence. Think about how this manifests in your daily experience. You begin to walk with the posture of one who already has. Your physical bearing, facial expressions, tone of voice, all these subtle elements unconsciously align with your inner certainty. You speak with the calm of one who has already seen the fulfillment of their desire. There's no desperation in your words, no underlying anxiety about outcomes. You give thanks as one who has already received, with a gratitude that flows naturally from recognition rather than hope. This embodied certainty creates a resonance field that the universe cannot ignore. It's as if your entire being becomes a tuning fork, vibrating at the precise frequency of your desire fulfilled. And since the universe operates as a perfect resonance mechanism, it has no choice but to reflect back to you the exact vibration you're emitting. This is the hidden truth behind what appears to be miraculous manifestation. It's simply the perfect operation of universal law. The revolutionary insight here is that you don't need to convince the world of anything. You don't need to struggle, push, or manipulate circumstances. You simply need to embody the certainty of your desire, fulfilled with such conviction that your entire being vibrates in harmony with it. When this alignment occurs, what once seemed impossible materializes with surprising ease, not because you've overcome external obstacles, but because you've resolved the internal contradiction that was the only real obstacle. This brings us to perhaps the most crucial revelation for effective manifestation. The universe doesn't read the sound of your voice, it reads the vibration of your being. This principle explains why affirmations and positive declarations often yield disappointing results despite sincere intention. If you affirm wealth but vibrate in fear about your financial future, you'll manifest experiences that match your vibration, not your words. The universe isn't listening to your verbal requests or conscious declarations. It's measuring your emotional frequency, your deep-seated beliefs, your unconscious expectations, the sum total of your energetic signature. If you declare love but vibrate in neediness and lack, you'll attract relationships that reflect that inner state. If you proclaim health while vibrating in anxiety about your body, you'll manifest experiences that mirror that fear. This insight completely transforms how you approach the manifestation journey. Instead of focusing primarily on saying the right things or performing the right techniques, you redirect your attention to aligning your entire being with the frequency of your desire. This isn't about surface-level positivity, it's about genuine vibrational coherence between your conscious intentions and your deeper emotional state. Behind the scenes of creation, this vibrational alignment is what distinguishes effective manifestors from those who struggle despite doing all the right things. Two people can practice identical visualization techniques, repeat the same affirmations, follow the same manifestation methods, yet experience radically different results. The difference isn't in their external actions, but in their internal resonance. The journey to mastery involves developing an acute awareness of the gap between what you're saying and what you're vibrating. It requires honest self-reflection to recognize when your words and energy are misaligned. Are you affirming abundance while feeling the constriction of lack? Are you declaring confidence while harboring self-doubt? Are you proclaiming trust while vibrating in anxiety? These subtle contradictions create static in your creative signal that distorts manifestation. The breakthrough comes when you achieve congruence between your conscious declarations and your unconscious vibration. When what you say, think, feel, and believe all align in perfect harmony. Have you noticed times when your manifestations accelerated because your entire being was aligned with your desire? Share your experience by writing vibrational alignment in the comments if you've witnessed the power of congruence between your words and your energy. Now I want to reveal what might be the most overlooked yet profoundly powerful opportunity for manifestation in your daily life. Those precious moments before sleep that Joseph Murphy called the altar of the Creator. While most people treat sleep as merely a physical necessity, Murphy discovered it's actually a sacred gateway to the subconscious mind, where all manifestation begins. In those drowsy moments between wakefulness and sleep, your conscious mind naturally relaxes its grip, allowing direct access to the subconscious, the true seat of creative power. This twilight state represents a unique opportunity to plant seeds that will germinate throughout the night and eventually blossom in your waking experience. The key is how you use these precious moments. Feel yourself within the desired scene as if it were now. This isn't abstract visualization or distant fantasy. It's full, sensory immersion in your desired reality. Don't observe your vision from outside like a movie. Live it from within as the central character. Feel the textures, hear the sounds, experience the emotions of having already achieved your desire. Make the scene so vivid and real that your subconscious mind cannot distinguish it from physical reality. The transformative insight here is that your subconscious doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something physically experienced. It accepts whatever impressions you give it, especially in this receptive pre-sleep state. When you allow your body to drift into sleep while maintaining this state of fulfillment, you're essentially programming your subconscious with a new blueprint for creation. While your physical body rests, a deeper part of you continues working, reorganizing circumstances, attracting opportunities, and aligning resources to manifest what you've impressed upon it. Sleep becomes not just restoration for the body, but active creation for the soul. The universe literally works during your sleep to manifest the state you've assumed before drifting off. This practice transforms your relationship with sleep itself. Rather than simply ending the day, bedtime becomes a sacred ritual of creation, the most powerful manifestation opportunity in your daily cycle. Those who master this technique often wake to find synchronicities, insights, and opportunities appearing almost magically in their experience. It's not supernatural, it's simply the perfect operation of mental law. This principle illuminates why so many breakthrough ideas and solutions come during or immediately after sleep. Your subconscious, unencumbered by the limiting beliefs of your waking mind, works freely during sleep to solve problems and manifest desires that your conscious mind might resist during waking hours. The key is properly directing this immense creative power before sleep claims your conscious awareness. Behind this powerful practice lies an even more fundamental principle, what Murphy called the silent power of I am. These two simple words form the cornerstone of all creation. When you make an I am statement, you're not just describing your current state. You're issuing a creative command to the universe itself. Say in your mind, with the authority of the Creator, I no longer ask, I already am. Feel the quiet power in this declaration, not as a hopeful affirmation, but as a recognition of what already exists. The universe will hear this decree and reorganize itself to prove that you were right all along. This isn't magical thinking. It's the fundamental operating principle of consciousness. Your I am statements aren't mere descriptions. They're prescriptions that your subconscious mind and the universal creative intelligence must fulfill. The I am is literally God's name in many spiritual traditions. It's the creative principle through which all manifestation occurs. The revolutionary understanding here is that you don't need to beg, plead, or convince the universe to grant your desires. You simply need to assume the correct I am state with such conviction that your entire being vibrates in harmony with it. When you declare, I am wealthy, I am healthy, or I am loved, with genuine feeling and unwavering certainty, you're not describing a future condition. You're acknowledging a present reality on the level of consciousness. This declaration, when made with the quiet authority of genuine conviction, sets in motion forces that are literally unstoppable. Not because you've bent the universe to your will, but because you've aligned with the creative principle that governs all manifestation. Have you experienced the profound shift that occurs when you move from asking to declaring? Share your journey by writing I am power in the comments if you felt the authority of this creative declaration in your own life. Now, I want to reveal what might be the most revolutionary insight in Joseph Murphy's teaching, one that completely transforms our understanding of the creative process. To assume is the most silent and most powerful act that exists. This isn't hyperbole. It's a precise description of the fundamental creative mechanism that operates throughout the universe. When you truly learn to assume, not as a mental technique but as a state of being, you discover the secret behind all apparent miracles. Nothing needs to be brought from outside, because everything already exists within. This revelation completely inverts our conventional understanding of manifestation. Most approaches frame creation as a process of attracting or acquiring something external, bringing desirable circumstances, relationships, or possessions from out there into your experience. But Murphy discovered that true manifestation isn't about attraction at all. It's about recognition. Everything you could possibly desire already exists within your consciousness, in completed form. Your task isn't to create it or attract it, but simply to assume the state that allows you to recognize and experience what's already yours. Think about the profound paradigm shift this represents. The seeker mentality keeps you forever chasing, believing that fulfillment lies in some distant future or external circumstance. But the assumption of completion places you in immediate communion with your desire on the level of consciousness. When you genuinely assume that what you desire is already yours, you've bridged the illusory gap between wanting and having. This assumption, when maintained with unwavering conviction, becomes the bridge over which your desire travels from the invisible realm of consciousness into visible expression. This understanding transforms the entire manifestation journey from effort to recognition, from acquisition to expression. The blueprint for everything you desire, whether it's prosperity, health, relationship, or achievement, already exists within your consciousness in completed form. Your thoughts, feelings, and states of being aren't creating something new. They're simply determining which of these infinite possibilities you'll experience in your physical reality. Murphy's insight here aligns with the most advanced understanding in quantum physics, that all possibilities exist simultaneously in what scientists call superposition, and it's observation, consciousness, that collapses these possibilities into specific experience. The miracle of manifestation isn't creating something from nothing, it's selecting from the infinite field of all possibilities through the focusing lens of your consciousness. And this brings us to perhaps the most profound revelation about the nature of creation itself. Imagination is the womb of the universe. Everything that exists was born from imagination. Before any form appeared, before there was light, sound, or matter, there was only consciousness, and within that, consciousness, the image. This insight isn't merely poetic or metaphorical, it's a precise description of the creative process that governs all manifestation. Most people drastically underestimate the creative power of imagination. They view it as mere fantasy or escapism, a way to temporarily distract themselves from reality. But the awakened creator recognizes imagination as the primary creative faculty through which all manifestation occurs. It's not separate from reality, it's the very blueprint from which reality is constructed. Before anything can exist in physical form, it must first exist as an image in consciousness. Every invention, every building, every relationship, every achievement first existed as someone's imagination before it materialized in the physical world. This sequence never varies. First, the invisible image, then the visible form. Understanding this sequence completely transforms your relationship with your own imaginative faculty. Instead of dismissing your imagination as inconsequential daydreaming, you begin treating it with the reverence it deserves, as the sacred womb where all creation begins. You become increasingly conscious of the images you're nurturing in this creative womb, recognizing that each one contains the seed of future manifestation. This awareness naturally leads to a greater discipline and intentionality in what you allow yourself to imagine, knowing that these inner images are quite literally shaping your future experience. The revolutionary insight here is that your imagination isn't just preparing you for reality, it's creating it. The images you consistently hold in mind, especially when charged with emotional intensity, become the template from which your physical experience is molded. This explains why two people can face identical external circumstances, yet have completely different experiences. They're literally living in different subjective universes created by their imaginative focus. When you truly grasp this principle, imagination ceases to be mere mental activity and becomes conscious creation. Every time you close your eyes and vividly imagine a desired scenario, feeling it as real, you're not just engaging in a psychological exercise, you're literally impressing upon the universal creative medium the template for your future experience. If you've experienced moments when something you vividly imagined later materialized in your physical reality, share your experience by typing "imagination creates" in the comments. Now I want to illuminate what might be the greatest obstacle on your manifestation journey, a hidden saboteur that operates within your own consciousness. Joseph Murphy identified this with remarkable clarity. Doubt is imagination's only enemy. This insight reveals the paradoxical way we often undermine our own creative power without realizing it. When you imagine something desirable and immediately follow it with doubt, you're essentially canceling your own creative command. It's as if you're saying to the universe, "I don't believe this is possible," and the universe, being the perfect servant of consciousness, simply responds, "So be it." This isn't punishment, it's the flawless operation of mental law. The universe doesn't judge your requests or decide what you deserve. It simply reflects with mathematical precision whatever state you consistently maintain. Think about the profound implications of this revelation. Your doubt doesn't just weaken your manifestation. It actively creates the opposite of what you desire. This explains why many people experience exactly what they fear, despite their conscious attempts to avoid it. Their doubt, anxiety, and worry are actually more powerful creative forces than their occasional positive thoughts, because they're charged with stronger emotional intensity. The breakthrough comes with Murphy's extraordinary insight. A single image sustained with faith is more powerful than 1,000. Anxious thoughts. This isn't hyperbole, it's a precise description of the mathematics of creation. The power isn't in quantity, but in quality, in the unwavering conviction with which you hold your mental image. One moment of absolute certainty can override years of habitual doubt because it aligns you with the creative principle that governs the universe. This understanding transforms how you approach the manifestation journey itself. Instead of exhausting yourself with constant repetition of affirmations or visualizations, you focus on the quality of your consciousness in each moment. You learn to recognize doubt as it arises, not to fight against it, but to gently return to the state of certainty that naturally manifests your desire. And this brings us to another profound distinction that Murphy articulated with remarkable clarity. Haste is doubt. Rest is certainty. Most people completely misinterpret the relationship between action and manifestation. They believe that pushing, forcing and rushing somehow accelerates creation. But Murphy reveals the counterintuitive truth. Haste is actually the signature of doubt. It's the anxious energy of someone who doesn't truly believe that what they desire is already accomplished in consciousness. Rest, by contrast, is the hallmark of genuine faith. When you truly know that your desire is fulfilled on the level of consciousness, you naturally cease striving and enter a state of peaceful expectancy. This isn't passive resignation. It's active alignment with the creative principle that governs the universe. Just as a pregnant woman doesn't need to force the development of her child, she simply provides the right conditions and trusts the natural process. You don't need to force your manifestations. You simply maintain the consciousness of completion and allow the universal intelligence to arrange the details. Imagine with faith. See the final result, not the process. This guidance completely transforms how you engage with visualization and creative imagination. Most people make the critical error of trying to figure out exactly how their desire will manifest, imagining all the steps, details, and mechanisms involved. But Murphy reveals that this approach actually introduces limitation and doubt into the creative process. The universe doesn't need you to tell it how, only what is. When you try to dictate the exact pathway to manifestation, you're unconsciously restricting infinite intelligence to your limited understanding of what's possible. The breakthrough comes when you focus exclusively on the end result, the desired state fully realized, and leave the how to the infinite creative intelligence that orchestrates galaxies. This is the hidden wisdom behind why some manifestations appear as miracles, while others struggle to materialize despite sincere effort. Those who focus solely on the end result with unwavering faith, tap into unlimited possibilities, while those who fixate on specific pathways restrict themselves to limited probabilities. Have you noticed how your manifestations flow more easily when you release the need to control the process? Share your experience by typing "Trust the how" in the comments if you've witnessed the power of focusing on the end result while releasing attachment to the process. Now I want to explore a powerful agricultural metaphor that Joseph Murphy used to illuminate the creative process. Faith is the fertile soil. Doubt is the desert. This analogy perfectly captures the environment required for your desires to manifest. When you imagine with doubt, you create a divided consciousness, part of you holding the vision while another part contradicts it. This internal division disrupts the manifestation process in the most fundamental way. It's like planting a seed and then uprooting it the next day to check if it's growing. This impatient interference doesn't accelerate growth, it prevents it entirely. The seed needs undisturbed darkness, consistent nourishment, and patient trust to transform from potential to expression. Your desires operate according to the same natural law. Nothing blossoms without patience, not in the garden of nature, nor in the garden of consciousness. This revelation transforms how you approach the manifestation journey. Most people sabotage their own creative power through unconscious impatience. They visualize their desire on Monday, then by Wednesday, they're anxiously checking for results, inadvertently uprooting the very seed they planted. By Friday, seeing no visible progress, they declare, "It's not working," and abandon the practice altogether, never realizing that their impatience was the only true obstacle. The awakened creator understands that faith provides the optimal conditions for manifestation, just as fertile soil provides the ideal environment for seeds. Faith isn't blind optimism or wishful thinking. It's maintaining unwavering trust in the invisible process of creation, even when physical evidence hasn't yet appeared. It's recognizing that just as the mighty oak exists invisibly within the acorn, your desire already exists in completed form within your consciousness. Think about the profound psychological shift this understanding creates. Instead of anxiously monitoring circumstances for signs of manifestation, you rest in absolute certainty, knowing that the universal intelligence is orchestrating all necessary elements behind the scenes. This patient certainty doesn't delay manifestation. It accelerates it by removing the resistance created by doubt and anxiety. The transformative journey from doubt to faith represents one of the most significant evolutions in consciousness. It's moving from the desert of skepticism, where nothing can grow despite your best efforts, to the fertile garden of certainty, where manifestation occurs as naturally as a flower blossoming in spring. This shift doesn't happen through force or will, but through understanding and alignment with universal principles. This brings us to another profound revelation that completely transforms how we understand the creative process. What you imagine with faith is creative vibration. This isn't metaphorical language. It's a precise description of how consciousness shapes reality. Every image you hold in mind with emotional conviction generates a specific vibrational frequency that the universe responds to with mathematical precision. The blind man who imagines light will find it. The poor man who imagines abundance will attract it. The sick man who imagines health will embody it. These aren't just inspiring anecdotes. They're demonstrations of the universal law that governs all manifestation. Your imagination, when charged with unwavering faith, literally emits creative vibration that reshapes your experience. Murphy documented countless cases of seemingly miraculous transformations that occurred through this principle. People overcoming terminal illnesses, transcending financial limitations, healing broken relationships, not through external intervention, but through the consistent application of faith-filled imagination. These weren't random coincidences or statistical anomalies. They were demonstrations of the perfect operation of mental law. The scientific revelation behind these transformations is that your consciousness doesn't just perceive reality, it creates it. Modern quantum physics increasingly supports what mystics have known for millennia. Observation affects reality at the most fundamental level. When you imagine with faith, you're not merely entertaining yourself with pleasant fantasies. You're generating creative vibrations that literally reorganize the energy field from which physical reality emerges. This understanding transforms imagination from entertainment to active creation. Your mental pictures aren't just psychological responses to reality, they're the very blueprints from which your experience is constructed. Every image you sustain with emotional conviction becomes a template that the universal creative intelligence works tirelessly to manifest. The breakthrough comes when you recognize that imagination isn't separate from reality. It's the causal dimension from which reality emerges. The images you consistently hold in mind, especially those charged with genuine feeling, become the vibrational patterns that the universe mirrors back to you as experience. Have you noticed how certain patterns keep appearing in your life that match your dominant thoughts and feelings? Share your experience by writing vibrational matching in the comments if you've recognized this direct correlation between your imagination and your reality. Now, I want to share perhaps the most liberating insight for those who struggle with visualization. Many people abandon their manifestation practice because they can't clearly see images in their mind's eye. They believe their inability to create vivid mental pictures somehow disqualifies them from effective creation. But Joseph Murphy revealed a profound truth that completely dissolves this obstacle. Feeling is the most direct channel to creation. If you can't clearly see in your mind's eye, feel. This simple guidance opens the manifestation pathway to everyone, regardless of their visualization abilities. Some people naturally think in images, while others experience the world primarily through sensations, emotions, or concepts. Murphy discovered that visual imagery isn't the essential component of creation. It's the feeling state that ultimately determines what manifests. Feel the result as true, and that will be enough. This isn't a compromise or second-best approach. It's actually the most powerful dimension of the creative process. When you generate the authentic feeling of your desire fulfilled, the emotional signature of already having what you seek, you've activated the most direct channel between your consciousness and the universal creative intelligence. Think about the profound implications of this revelation. It means that even if you struggle to visualize a detailed mental movie of your desire, you can still be a masterful creator by cultivating the corresponding feeling state. The sensation of relief that comes with financial security, the feeling of joy in a loving relationship, the sense of vitality in a healthy body. These emotional states are the true language that the universe responds to. The sensation is the most direct channel between you and the invisible. This understanding transforms manifestation from a visual technique to an embodied experience. Your entire nervous system becomes the creative instrument through which your desire translates into physical reality. When you can genuinely feel as if your desire is already fulfilled, experiencing the emotional reality before the physical evidence appears, you've mastered the essence of creation. Behind the scenes of this approach lies the recognition that feeling states are literally vibrational frequencies that the universe responds to with mathematical precision. Your emotions aren't just psychological experiences, they're energetic broadcasts that shape the quantum field from which physical reality emerges. When you consciously cultivate the feeling that corresponds with your desire fulfilled, you're literally tuning your being to the frequency that attracts corresponding circumstances. This brings us to another profound insight that completely transforms how we understand the obstacles in our manifestation journey. Doubt is the voice of the old mind. When doubt arises, as it inevitably will, it's essential to recognize its true nature. It's not the voice of wisdom or caution, it's the conditioned pattern of the old mind which lives in fear and lack. This recognition is profoundly liberating because it allows you to witness doubt without identifying with it. You can observe these limiting thoughts with compassionate detachment, recognizing them as echoes of past conditioning rather than reflections of present truth. The doubt isn't you. It's simply the old programming running its familiar patterns. Faith, by contrast, is the voice of the spirit which knows that everything already is. This deeper aspect of your consciousness isn't constrained by past limitations or present appearances. It exists in direct communion with the creative principle that governs the universe. When you listen to this voice instead of the doubtful mind, you naturally align with the state that manifests your desires. When doubt comes, don't fight it. Just smile and say, "I know who I am." This approach represents a complete transformation in how we handle limiting thoughts. Most people either identify with their doubts, allowing them to determine their creative capacity, or they struggle against them, inadvertently strengthening them through resistance. The awakened creator does neither. They simply acknowledge the doubt with gentle awareness while reaffirming their true identity as a creative being. This inner dialogue, "I know who I am," isn't positive thinking or self-deception. It's reconnecting with the truth of your nature, that exists beneath the temporary clouds of doubt. It's remembering your essential creative identity, even when appearances seem to contradict it. Have you experienced moments when you were able to remain centered in your knowing despite doubts or contradictory evidence? Share your experience by typing "deeper knowing" in the comments if you felt this unwavering inner certainty despite outer appearances. Now I want to explore what might be the most practical principle in Joseph Murphy's teaching, one that transforms manifestation from mysterious technique to natural expression. Everything that is natural to consciousness manifests in the physical world. This insight cuts through the complexity that often surrounds manifestation. Practices and reveals a profound simplicity. Your only job is to make the desired natural within you. Think about the implications of this revelation. You don't need to force circumstances, manipulate people, or control outcomes. You simply need to cultivate such familiarity with your desired state that it becomes your default consciousness, as natural and unforced as breathing. When this inner naturalness is achieved, manifestation ceases to be work and becomes inevitable expression. The key insight here is the distinction between artificial affirmation and genuine embodiment. Many people approach manifestation through mechanical repetition of phrases or forced visualization, never realizing that these practices alone can't override what feels truly natural to their consciousness. The breakthrough comes when you shift your focus from external techniques to internal familiarity, deliberately cultivating such intimacy with your desired state that it eventually becomes your default perception. Feel the joy of having already received. This guidance isn't about pretending or deluding yourself. It's about activating the emotional signature that naturally accompanies fulfillment. When something is genuinely natural to your consciousness, it generates corresponding emotions without effort. The joy of accomplishment, the peace of security, the warmth of connection. These emotional states aren't just responses to manifestation. They're the very catalysts that accelerate it. Behind the scenes of this transformation is a profound psychological principle. What feels natural to you determines what you unconsciously allow into your experience. If lack feels more natural than abundance, if struggle feels more familiar than ease, if loneliness feels more normal than connection, these states will continue manifesting regardless of your conscious desires. The journey involves deliberately reshaping what feels natural through consistent focus, emotional rehearsal, and identity-level shifts. This understanding illuminates why some people manifest their desires with apparent ease, while others struggle despite sincere effort. The difference isn't external luck or worthiness. It's the degree of naturalness they've established internally with their desired state. Those who manifest effortlessly have so thoroughly integrated their desire into their self-concept that any other outcome would feel unnatural. This brings us to perhaps the most profound revelation about the nature of faith itself. Faith doesn't create, it reveals what always was. This insight completely transforms our understanding of the manifestation process. Most approaches frame creation as bringing something new into existence, manifesting what doesn't yet exist. But Murphy discovered that true faith isn't creating anything. It's removing the veils that obscure what already exists in completed form. Imagine with faith, recognizing that your faithful imagination isn't fabricating a new reality but revealing an eternal truth that exists beyond time and space. This shift in perspective transforms manifestation from effortful creation to effortless recognition, from trying to make something happen to allowing what already is to express through your experience. Doubt in this light is merely the shadow of old belief. It has no substance or reality of its own. It's the temporary obscuration created by limited perception, not an actual obstacle to fulfillment. When doubt arises, The awakened creator doesn't fight it or fear it. They simply recognize its insubstantial nature and return to the light of knowing that is their true identity. For you are not a shadow, you are light. This identity statement represents the ultimate transformation in consciousness, from perceiving yourself as a limited being seeking fulfillment to recognizing yourself as the very light of awareness in which all experience appears. This shift doesn't come through intellectual understanding alone, but through direct recognition of your essential nature. The journey toward this recognition isn't about adding something new to yourself, but about unveiling what has always been true beneath the layers of conditioning and limited belief. It's the gradual awakening to your authentic identity as a creative being, not separate from the source of all manifestation, but an individualized expression of it. This awakening transforms every aspect of the manifestation journey. Instead of struggling to create what you desire, you simply clear away the doubts, fears, and limiting beliefs that obscure your perception of what already exists in completed form. Instead of seeking to acquire something you lack, you recognize the wholeness that has always been your true nature. Have you experienced moments of sudden recognition when something you desired seemed to effortlessly appear once you stopped struggling to make it happen? Share your experience by typing "natural" manifestation in the comments if you've witnessed this principle of making your desire feel completely natural within you. Now I want to explore a profound shift in perspective that completely transforms how you view synchronicities, coincidences, and signs in your life. Joseph Murphy discovered a hidden truth that most manifestation teachings miss entirely. Don't believe in signs, create them. This revelation inverts the conventional understanding of how signs work in the manifestation process. Most people spend their lives looking for external validation, searching for signs that the universe is responding to their desires. They interpret coincidences, numbers, words, or events as messages from beyond, either confirming or denying their path. But Murphy illuminated a much deeper truth. The universe doesn't send signs, it reflects states. Every coincidence you experience is merely the mirror of what already vibrates within you. It's not the sign that creates the state, it's the state that creates the sign. Think about the revolutionary implications of this understanding. The person who lives in a state of lack will see signs of scarcity everywhere, interpreting neutral events as confirmation that there isn't enough. The person who lives in a state of abundance will perceive the exact same circumstances as evidence of prosperity. The difference isn't in what's happening out there, but in the consciousness that's interpreting the events. This revelation completely transforms your relationship with reality itself. Instead of being a passive observer, waiting for external confirmation, you become an active creator, generating your own experience through the state you choose to maintain. When you understand that signs don't create your reality, but merely reflect it, you stop giving away your power to external circumstances and reclaim your role as the author of your experience. Behind the scenes of this understanding is a profound truth about the nature of consciousness and reality. What you call signs are simply the delayed reflections of states you've already established within. Like an echo returning your own voice, these reflections can't tell you anything you don't already know. They can only confirm what you've already accepted as true within yourself. This brings us to perhaps the most empowering distinction in Murphy's teaching. The awakened person doesn't wait. They create. This fundamental shift in orientation completely transforms your manifestation journey. Most people live reactively, waiting for circumstances to change before they change their consciousness, expecting external proof before they'll believe. But this approach keeps them perpetually dependent on conditions they can't control. If your interior changes, the reflection alters. If the interior remains the same, no new sign can save you. This principle operates with mathematical precision throughout your experience. When you genuinely transform your inner state, your beliefs, expectations, and emotional patterns, the external world must reorganize itself to reflect this new vibration. Not because it's responding to your commands, but because it's faithfully mirroring the consciousness you're projecting. The awakened creator doesn't wait for permission from circumstances to assume their desired state. They don't need external validation to believe what they know is true on the level of consciousness. They recognize that waiting for signs keeps them in the perpetual limbo of seeking, while creating from within places them at the center of their creative power. The most revolutionary insight in this teaching is deceptively simple, yet profoundly transformative. Be the sign. Instead of waiting to see changes, feel yourself as the change. Instead of seeking proof, become the proof. The most powerful sign in the universe is your own state. When you embody the consciousness of your desire fulfilled, walking, talking, breathing as if it were already accomplished, you become the living evidence of its manifestation. This principle operates as a form of quantum entanglement between your consciousness and physical reality. When you consistently embody a particular state, the universe has no choice but to reflect that state back to you as experience. This isn't magical thinking. It's the fundamental operating principle of consciousness creation. The journey of transformation begins when you shift from constantly scanning your environment for confirmation to becoming the confirmation you seek. When you no longer need external signs to validate your faith, you've entered the realm of mature creation, where manifestation occurs naturally, not as dramatic intervention, but as the inevitable expression of your consistent state. This perspective completely reframes how you approach the entire manifestation process. Instead of waiting for the universe to show you it's working, you demonstrate to the universe what you've already accepted as true. Have you experienced moments when you stopped looking for signs and simply became the embodiment of what you desired? Share your transformation by typing "I am the sign" in the comments if you've witnessed the power of becoming the living evidence of your own creation. As we've journeyed through these transformative principles together, I want to thank you for allowing me to share Joseph Murphy's profound wisdom with you. These aren't just concepts to understand. Intellectually, they're living truths to embody in your daily experience. The real power comes when you take these insights and begin applying them in your own life, watching as your consciousness shapes your reality with increasing precision. If this message resonated with you, if you felt that spark of recognition that comes when wisdom aligns with your own deeper knowing, I'd love for you to become part of our conscious creation community. Subscribe to the channel and join us as we continue exploring these life-changing principles together. Each video builds upon these foundations, revealing new dimensions of your creative power. I'm genuinely curious about which of these principles struck the deepest chord with you. If you've made it all the way through this journey with me, type "I am the creator" in the comments and share which principle you're most excited to implement in your life. Your insights might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. If you found value in these teachings, a simple like on this video helps others discover these transformative principles too. It's a small action that creates ripples of positive impact as more people awaken to their creative power. I've prepared a video that takes these principles even deeper, exploring how to apply them specifically to health and vitality. It's the perfect complement to what we've discussed today. Click right here and continue your journey of conscious creation with me. The power to transform your reality is already within you. I'm simply here to remind you of what you've momentarily forgotten. See you in the next exploration.